What's going on, everyone? Thanks for joining. Obviously, if you have any questions, as always, if you have any questions, make sure you put it on the chat, and I will take the time to answer any questions that you may have. But the topic of today, how to answer technical questions. This is something that many people don't think about. You end up going through the job interview process. And I know there are many right now going through that stage. I need to get a job. So obviously they go to the market and be like, okay, let's see if I'm able to get my first job in IT. If I'm able to upgrade, the job that I have now to a better one. Well, let me ask you a few questions first, okay? Obviously, when you apply to any job, we both know that you are not the only one, right? There will probably be another 5, 10, probably other 20 candidates going through the same process. And what that means is more likely you're going to end up talking to the same people that they will be talking to, right? That can be 1, that can be 3, that can probably be 5. And obviously you're going through the job interview process. That's for them to ask you a few questions. Some of them will be technical questions and some others don't. But how? Okay. How can you differentiate yourself from everyone else? How can you really stand out from everyone else? That way you end up getting the job. Because one thing is you end up getting maybe 1, 2, 3 IT certifications, right? So that's one thing. And obviously going to the market and be like, hey, I'm ready. I'm ready to get that job. Okay. So obviously people get back to you. They set up the interview over the phone, face to face. And that's what matters. That's it. That's what matters. So obviously IT certifications, the only thing they will do for you is for people to reach out to you. That's it. But once you are about to go through the job interview process, it really comes down to and how you communicate and how can you educate and how can you storytell and how can you present what you know, what you have learned, and probably the experience that you have working in IT. And not that many people can do that. And this is one of the biggest things, obviously, that I teach my students because that's how they end up getting the job. And I want to share a few things with you that I share with my students. And that's based on this framework. There are 4 things that you need to do. When someone asks you a technical question, this is something that you have to do. And this is not, okay? This is not for you to, okay, let me do this one thing. Or let me do this 2 things out of this framework. There are 4 things you need to do. No, you need to do all of them. And this is something proven, okay? So, and I'm going to give you a scenario. I'm going to really break it down for you. And I'm going to go so easy on you. But the thing that I want from everyone watching is for you to go through this process and for you to engage with me, okay? That way you can see the difference and how would you answer a question and how would I answer a question based on this framework. Because let me tell you, this is something that will get you that job if you do it the right way. And I know I have maybe 1, probably 2 students right now, on here, and they can probably tell you a lot about it, that this works. This is how many without any experience are able to get a good job in IT, not an entry-level job, okay? Not an entry-level job. If some of you are new in IT, I'm going to advise you for you not to get an entry-level job because there are better ways, new ways on how to get a good job in IT. And this is one of them, by the way. You have to go through this framework, okay? Now, before I get to it, let me tell you one other thing, for you to have in mind, because I know having this in mind, you will see, again, that difference and how this can really help you, okay? So you end up going through the job interview process. And I ask you, what do you think you need to accomplish? What do you think you need to accomplish in order for you to get the job and not any of the other 10 or 20 candidates? What do you think, again, that you need to accomplish when you go through the job interview process? What? Because it's easy to say, obviously, I need to answer the questions, obviously, they have to like me, obviously, it has to, I don't know, it has to feel good, they I end up liking them, they end up liking me, and more likely, yes, if I end up answering all the questions right, I'm probably I'm gonna get the job. But you see, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Many people throughout the last few months reach out to me saying, Jorge, I've been going through the job interview process, and and I end up going through the entire process all the way to the end, but I don't get that phone call. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and I know I'm answering the questions they're asking me right. Like, I know that, so I don't know what's wrong with me. And I'm like, nothing wrong with you. It's more about how you communicate and answer the questions they ask you. Because let me tell you, and this is something I'm going to ask you to write this down, okay? There are two things you need to accomplish. There are two. If you accomplish only one, I tell you right now, you will not get the job. It's just that simple. And this is proven, by the way, you will not get the job. You need to accomplish two things, okay? And you're going through this framework, you will be able to accomplish two things, okay? And it may sound easy. It may sound easy, okay? So again, one of them is they have to like you a lot. This is not, I kind of like this guy. No, they have to like you a lot, okay? And what that means, they have to build some trust, and you're going through the job interview process. That trust, it's not when they hire you and see how it works. No, that trust is built when you go through the job interview process. But you cannot build any trust with them if they don't like you. And by the way, they have all of them to like you, not just a few. No, all of them. All of them, you want to mention your name. Who do you like the best about, last week when we end up interview these 5-7 candidates? And obviously you want that people, probably 3-5 people that interview you, to mention you. That's it, right? So it's a very specific way on how to do that. Number two, they need to know, and this is what many people get it wrong. They need to know that you can get the job done. Now you're probably thinking, that's obvious, Jorge. I mean, that's nothing new. No, because if you don't know how to accomplish that, that means that you don't know it. Many people think it's like, okay, and imagine this, right? You answer all the questions. Really, you answer all the questions properly, the technical questions. They probably ask you 5-7 questions, and 100% that you answer every question right? Now you're thinking, I'm going to get this job because I answer all these technical questions right. Well, no. Why? Because one thing is for them to think of you, this guy, David, he knows. Yeah, he knows. He answered all the questions. And then someone else will say, well, yeah, David answered all the questions. But what about Tony? Tony answered all the questions as well. Yeah, that's true. And I remember too, we interviewed, Sam, right? And Sam, the same thing. She answered all the questions, right? Properly. So again, it's not about answering the questions. It's not for them to think of you that that will not get you the job. They have to think of you that you can get the job done. And that's a way on how to do that. That way you are the only one doing that in order for you to position yourself, for them to think of you that you can get the job done. That means that you are able to adapt in their team and be able to do the things they have for you, for that person they're going to hire. Okay. So let me go through this framework, and I hope you write things down, and I hope you go through this video. Again, this is basically what I do on one-on-one with my students. We do it in a group, and I do it one-on-one because you master this one skill, and you will get a job sooner than later. Okay. So number one is connect. And I hope you can see that. If not, I will tell you. Connect. You have to connect. Let's say, right? I ask you a question right now. And again, engage with me. Please do that. You go through that job interview process, and I'm the engineer, right? So you got to me. And I take a look at the resume. And obviously, let's say we're looking for someone that knows networking. Okay. So I'm like, okay, let me ask you a question. Can you tell me what's an IP address? Very easy question that I know all of you know, right? So again, what would you say? Again, take the time, take a minute. What would you say if I come up to you right now, right? We are face to face or over doing a video call, and you're going through the job interview process, and I ask you, can you tell me what's an IP address? What would you say? You see? And take a minute. Do it right now. Because I know more likely what's going to come out of your mouth. So more likely you're gonna say something like this. Oh, an IP address. Yes. IP version 4, we have IP version 6 too. IP version 4, that's the one that we need the most. A 32-bit divided by 4 octets. Each octet, 8 bits. We have class A, class B, class C. We have private, we have public IP addresses. Yeah, big network, more likely we're gonna have a class A IP. A small network, more likely we're gonna have a class C subnet. So yeah, computers need that to communicate, obviously. So yeah, an IP address is all about the layer 3 of the OSI model, by the way. The layer 3, the network layer. You see, that's exactly what most people will say. That. And that's not good because you're thinking, yes, I answered this question properly. I know I did. I know I told him everything that I knew about IP addresses. So I got this. So guess what? The other candidate going after you, and probably the one that went before you, answer the same thing that you said. Same words, probably in different sequence, but the same thing. So obviously they're not going to remember you because you sound like everyone else. You know information, but that doesn't tell me that you know how to execute, and that doesn't tell me that you can get the job done. It just tells me that you know information, that you know what's an IP address. And that's not good at all. You see, the first thing that you need to do is this: connect. You are not connecting with me if you answer, oh, an IP address, yeah, 32-bit divided by, 4 octets, or, we have class A, class B, class C, or we have, a private IP addresses, public IP addresses. Like when you answer that question that way, you are not connecting with me. You're just basically coming up with that technical definition out of Google. That tells me, again, that you probably went through some video tutorials, probably that you end up going through a book. And again, that you know what's an IP address, but that doesn't tell me that you know exactly what that is based on the network infrastructure, and me put you in a scenario and be able to do something about it. Again, you're not, because you didn't say that, because you just came out with that technical definition, okay? So here, let me go through the comments. I see an internet protocol address, numerical label assigned to each device connected to computers. Again, that's a technical definition, Samuel, okay? That's not good because everyone else is going to sound like just like you, okay? So connect. What do you mean with connect? And I really hope you take some notes. I really hope you do, okay? So imagine me saying something like this. Let's say now candidate, okay? And now you're the engineer. You interviewing me, right? And you ask me, Jorge, you look at my resume, let's say, and you're like, Jorge, you tell me what's an IP address? I'm like, of course, we both know that without an IP address, computers, they're not going to be able to communicate to one another, right? You see what I did there? And I hope you're listening, because I'm using what many people may say, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, in order for me to connect with you on a different level. That way you're going to end up liking me a lot more compared to someone else that just came out with a technical definition. And this is just me connecting with you. Okay, so again, I will say something like this. Of course, without an IP address, devices will not be able to communicate to one another. And we both know too, they work on the layer 3 of the OSI model, the network layer. And by the way, I can tell you a few things about it too. You see how making that just a conversation and be able to connect with you, for you to be like, oh, I kind of like this guy, the way he's communicating that with me. And on top of that, I'm bringing you into the conversation. Not an answer. I'm bringing you into the conversation because I said, as we both know, right? Like without those computers, right? They're not going to be able to communicate with one another. And in your mind is like, yeah, that's right. Right? You see the big difference, and I really hope you do, because if not, again, you're more likely going to answer questions like most people do, and that's not going to help you. Okay? So that's connecting. I can give you another way on how to connect with a person. Okay? You can say something like this. Again, you're the engineer, I'm the candidate, and you're asking me that same question. Again, another way on how to connect, okay? You can say something like, I will say something like this. Let's say that your name is David, right? Let's say your name is David. So I will be like, David, let's just imagine this, that we have about 10 computers right here in front of us. And these 10 computers wants to communicate to one another. And as we both know, in order to do that, they're gonna need an IP address. And we can either or statically go to each one of them, right? Or we can use a protocol called DHCP. So you see what I'm doing there? Again, I'm not only connecting. I'm not doing none of the other three things yet. So it's not like I'm finished. No, I'm going to do a lot more throughout the framework. The only thing that I need to have in mind as soon as I open my mouth is connect. I need to connect because that's the only way for someone to like you a lot. In another level compared just to the way you may look or just coming up with technical definitions. But I hope you listen on what I said. Let's just imagine, David, that we have 10 computers, 20 computers right here in front of us. What are you doing right now? You are imagining 20 computers. So you see how I'm now connecting with you because now we get along and telling you the same scenario. And then and we both know, you see now I'm connecting again. And we both know that these 10, 20 computers need to communicate to one another. And that will be through an IP address. And by the way, you see how at that point, I'm not just telling you what the definition is, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more, but I'm not already giving you a scenario that you can see because if anyone can think of 10, 20 computers, right? So now you have something in your mind that you can follow with me. That way I don't lose you because many people, they go blah, 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 giving a technical definition, and they already know what you're going to say. So basically, even though they're looking at you, their mind is somewhere else. I need to get to the next meeting. And I forgot to call my significant other. I forgot to make this payment. Oh my God, I forgot to send this email. You don't see that, but that's what's going through their mind, even though they're just right looking at you. Why? Because you're not connecting with them. You're just coming out with a technical definition, and basically everything that you're gonna say, they already know that you're gonna say that because everyone else say that. Does that make sense? Put in the chat if that makes sense to you and that can help. So if any of you are going through the job interview process right now, let me know too. I can probably give you a few points on what to do, what not to do. That way you really stand out. Again, many of the students, they're going through this process without experience. They end up getting a good job in IT and not an entry-level job. And many of them upgrade to a better one. Why? Because they know what to do. They don't sound like everyone else. They don't do what the other YouTubers are telling them to do, to be all over the place. You have this guy teaching you so many different things technical, and now you're out all over the place compared to like, what's going to get me what I want? What's going to get me what I want? Well, I need a job. Well, a better one. Okay, focus on that. Well, Jorge, I need to get certified. Yeah, get certified on what you need to get certified on. Don't focus on being all over the place just because you have someone teaching you one topic one week and another topic the next week. Don't do that. You're just wasting time because, again, you end up being all over the place. And you need a better job, right? That will pay you more. Not just for you to learn a lot of information and be broke. Not good. Now, going back. So this is Connect. And obviously, there's a lot more into it. I'm just giving you like an overview. But once we get really deep into that, you're going to be like, oh my God. And people are going to love you. People, they're going to love you just by doing this, the Connect. We're not even talking about the other three and the framework, okay? Of course, it makes sense. This works. I see Francis. Yeah, this works. This is not like, it sounds good. This is something that, yeah, it probably, no, it works. Many students have had a really good job, and many of them without experience. Because once again, they know what to do. And this, you getting a job, a lot of it, not all of it, obviously, not all of it. But a lot of it has to do with this, okay? Now let's go to the second one. And that's educate. I don't know if you can see it, but that's educate. That's the second thing you need to do, okay? So you see, you're probably thinking, okay, Jorge, so when I'm connecting, I'm giving some information related to IP, right? So that's good, right? So I think I'm done. No, you're barely beginning. You are barely beginning. Again, the first thing you need to do as soon as you open your mouth, you connect. That's what you need to do. You don't do that, you lose. And again, time after time, when I have some time, People reach out to me and say, hey, Jorge, what's going on? I've been going through the job interview process. I haven't got any jobs, any offers. And I'm like, okay, what are the questions they ask you? Well, they ask this and that. I'm like, okay. And what did you say? What was the answer that you give when they ask you that question? Oh, I answered this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's good, man. It seems like you really know the topic. Yeah, man. So I don't know what's going on. Because the way that you answer the question. That's why. Everyone else answered that question the same way you did. There was not connection. There was not me thinking that you know a lot more than just information. That doesn't make me think that you can get the job done. None of it. So you just sounded like everyone else. And that's the reason why you don't have a job. And I tell them that to many people. Okay. Have you hired someone without a bachelor's degree over someone that has a bachelor's degree? Bachelor's degree, it's BS. That will not. I know for a fact that I end up getting better jobs without a bachelor's degree, being a high school dropout with someone with a master's degree. That doesn't come to the equation. When you know how to connect with someone, when you know how to position yourself in front of them for them to see that you have what they need and what they want, and they know that because how you communicate it, you win. The bachelor's, the master's doesn't count. That's garbage, period. Okay? So now, let's go and educate, okay? Educate. So what does that mean? Okay, educate means, and I know probably you're thinking, obviously, Jorge, educate means I need to answer now that question. Like kind of like a technical way. No, you don't do that. And I really need you for all of you to listen to this, okay? And please do. What's educate? You're thinking, well, I answered that question related to IP really well. No. If I ask you, what's an IP address, or can you tell me more about what's an IP address? Regardless of what you say, it's okay. Obviously, giving a good answer because I'm expecting for you to know. So if I ask you something, I'm expecting for you to know that information. So even if you come up with a really great answer, a technical definition, it doesn't impress me. Why? Because I'm expecting you know that information. So you are not educating me because once again, I'm expecting you know what I ask you. So what does that mean now? I'm educating. Okay, now you have to say something that it's related to the question they ask you. I hope you're listening. So what does that mean? Okay, you have to say or talk about something that it's related. Listen, that it's related to the question they ask you. So they asked me about an IP address. What else can I think of when I think about an IP address? DHCP, right? So here you go. I'm gonna do that connect and I'm gonna do that educate, okay? And I will do it this way. I'll probably say something like this. Well, David, as we both, here we go again. Okay, David, so let's just imagine this, that we have about 20 computers right here in front of us in this office. And we want these 20 computers to communicate to one another. And the only way in order for them to communicate, they're gonna need an IP address. And we both know that, right? But here's the question. Do we want to go on each one of them and physically assign an static IP address? More likely not, right? So what we're gonna do, more likely, we're gonna use a DHCP protocol. And that means that DHCP is going to provide not only the IP address, because also we need the subnet mask. That way we know where that computer belongs to and what network. And the default gateway, that's another thing, that we need. That way, that computer is able not only to communicate inside the network, but with other devices outside of that network. So we're going to need that default gateway IP, obviously the router. And let's not forget DNS, because obviously we need something that's going to translate a fully qualified domain name to an IP address. And the process that we both know how it goes through, right? So the computer boot up, and it goes through this process called DORA. So you see now what I'm doing there? I talk about DHCP, I give that a scenario, I talk about what's a subnet mask, I talk about what's a default gateway, I talk about what's DNS, and he didn't ask me that. You didn't ask me that. So when I'm now telling you a few other things related to that question, now I'm educating you. So now I'm gonna wait a minute and see some of your comments just to make sure that you got it. to just make sure that you understand totally what I told you. Because if you master this, you shouldn't go on 3 jobs interviews, more than 3, because with those 3, you should get an offer. A lot of the students go through that process. So questions, let me know, guys. I'm going through your chat right now. So Michael said, got it. So again, you know about the bachelors, BS the bachelors. You know, I know many of my students don't have a bachelor's, and they are earning a lot more compared to other people that have a bachelor's degree. I'm earning a lot more compared to someone that has a bachelor's degree. Again, it's just how you go on your IT career, meaning on how you're gonna approach and how you go through life as well. You know, and how you go through life. You know, that's the thing that with me, I'm real. Like I tell you how it is. I will not be here like many people out there and kind of agree with you that way you like me. You know, I'm gonna tell you how it is. If you don't like it, that's you. You know, because you don't want to face the facts. You don't want to face really what's going on and what's gonna really allow you for you to change. Because you think in an IT traffication, or you're learning how to hack this one thing or how to do this other thing, is gonna get you what you want, and you're wrong. You're totally 100% wrong. You know, so it's all about who's the person you need to become, right? And be able to, okay, now that I know who I need to become and the destination I want to get to, where are the resources? Because we have not hundreds, we have thousands of resources out there. Which ones are the ones that you need? Which ones? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Probably not. And you go based on what other people tell you that you need to do without asking if that's something that you really need to. Imagine me going on Facebook, on YouTube, and I listen to all these other people. Oh, you need to learn this. Oh, really? Okay, let me go and do that. Oh, I feel good about it. You know, I learned this one thing. Next week, they'll teach me something else. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn that too. And then 3 months go by, and I still don't have a job. Why I still have the same job and I cannot move to the next one? Again, you are all over the place, okay? So, Brandon, what's going on, Brandon? Brandon, you know, just don't tell him how much are you earning, man, because they're gonna go after you. Oh, you already said how much you're earning. That's one of my students, by the way, Brandon. He went from help desk 1 year, triple his income. I said it right, not double, triple his income. Triple, shit. I'm not supposed to say that thing on YouTube, that word. But anyways. So yes, again, this works, guys. And this is just, again, just an overview. But I really hope that you listen on what I said, okay? And how you can connect with someone just based on a conversation. And how can you educate based on saying something related of what they ask you, okay? So now let's go to the third one. And this is the one that makes a difference. This is it. This is it, okay? So let me reveal that to you. Storytell. You probably seen many of my videos, and I keep saying that, and I know many people don't do it, you know, and that's not good, you know, because that's exactly, you know, in Storytell, and this is a third out of the framework. And what that means is what? Okay, that when you do a Storytell, now you're basically saying that you know. Now they can see see that you can get the job done, compared to, oh yeah, this guy Jorge, yeah, he knows, he answered the questions, but he will be able to get the job done. I don't know, man. Even though he answered the questions properly, I mean, he knows the information, but I don't know, man, if he's gonna be able to get the job done. I don't know, and that's the reason why you may not end up getting the job. So when you do a Storytell, now that tells a person, man, that person not only knows, but now I can see him working on our team, working on our issues, working on this environment. He can get the job done. And that's how you end up getting the job, and not everyone else. Okay? So again, guys, you know, something for you guys to think about, and really think about hard. You know, I'm really here to help you out, for you to get a high-paying job in IT, not for you to learn another topic that you can get that from everyone else. I'm really here for me to help you, for you to have that belief that way the things that happened to Brandon, one of the students here, happen to you, so you can get a high-paying job. Not in the next 6 months. I mean, in the next 6 years. In the next 6 months. It's not difficult. I'm going to put the link if you want to basically go on there and do it. You know, don't apply to the program. Do not apply to the program without going through the details, okay? Because this is not for everyone. This is for those that really want to get this done, okay? Meaning a high-paying job. And again, I'm all about what's gonna allow you for you to become the next version that will get you not only the job, but that life that you want. Because you know, why do you end up going to end up getting a job in IT, or why did you decide to go in IT? Why? Because they're gonna pay you low? No. So why is there many people end up doing that? Obviously, if you end up going to IT, that's because you know there are so many jobs out there that will pay you more than 80,000, more than 120,000, more than 160,000. So why not prepare yourself based on what do I need to do based on where I'm at and what's the next version of me that's gonna get me there? And they're not IT certifications. That's basically just a resource that you need, but that's another answer. It's just not the answer. Okay. So again, a storytell. So let me go here. Okay. I'm telling you how you need to do that. So again, I went based on connecting, right? So again, I go through the same scenario. So let's say, David, we have here 20 computers. They need to communicate, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to, and I said basically what I said before. So I get to the point that I'm talking about DHCP, right? And like, and by the way, this is a small network. So more likely, out of the T classes of IP addresses, we're gonna use class C because again, we don't have that many computers on this network. So more likely we're gonna use that. And obviously, as we both know, we're gonna end up using a private IP addresses. And again, class C, you know, 192, 168, you know, one, and again, depending on the range that we're gonna use for those computers. And now that I remember, you know, I remember having an issue with the user. And I remember that time when the user was unable to connect on the network. And I remember when I reached out, I'm like, are you the only one or there's someone else having that issue? And in this case, I was the only person having this issue. So what ended up happening was, as we both know, right? So I ended up going to the command prompt. And, you know, I did the IP config. And I noticed that that user was getting an APIPA IP address. And we both know what that means, right? That it was unable to get an IP from the DHCP. And I noticed something too, that the user was connecting through Wi-Fi, not through the physical cable, when she was supposed to connect through the physical cable. And that was one of the issues on why that user was unable to get through the Wi-Fi, because they were statically assigned the ones for that department. And so you see what I'm doing there? Like, I'm telling you a story. Like, I know what's going on. I can go through a problem. I can see where things may be wrong, or for me to look at, for me to fix, and for me to obviously end up with a solution. And I will probably go on for another minute and tell more detail about the story, about what happened and how I ended up resolving that issue. And that's a story tell. That's a story tell. Okay, that's a story tell. And you need to combine those three, right? And the framework: connect, educate, and story tell. By the way, I will tell you this: that's no college that will teach you this. That's no guy out there on YouTube that will teach you this. No one. No one. So I really hope you get this information, because this is exactly what's going to allow you for you to get the job. Not for you to learn, you know, the other trick about hacking or the other thing about virtualization. Or yes, it's something you need to know along the way, but that's not what's going to give you the job that you want. Again, that's something that I really need you to think about. God. Okay. So once again, guys, here's the link. For those of you, I only have a spot for 2 people for to start next week. So go through the details if you want, so that I can teach you, not for you to only get certified, but for you to get what you want, right? The job. I remember asking everyone that goes through the CCNA, and I'm like, what are you doing? Well, I'm studying. Studying for what? I'm studying for the Cisco CCNA. So are you going through that book because of that? Yeah. No, you're lying to me, man. What do you mean? Yeah, you're lying to me. Can you please tell me why are you going through that book? Or can you tell me why are you going through video tutorials? Or why are you taking that time instead of being on the TV? Why are you taking the time right now to do some labs, to learn those topics? Why? I told you, because I want to get my Cisco CCNA certification. Again, you're lying to me, man. And that's the way of you thinking. You're going to do so many things wrong. And that's the reason why you're going to struggle in your IT career, unfortunately. What do you mean? Why did you decide to get the CCNA? Like, really, why? You want to get the CCNA to do what? To do what? To get a job? Oh, now we're getting somewhere. So you're taking the time right now to learn those topics because you want to get that one exam, right? Certification that will allow you for you to be able to probably get a job in IT, right? Yes. Oh, now we know the main reason, right? Now, why do you want to get a job in IT? Why? What's the reason? Probably you don't like what you do right now. Probably you're not earning that much, right? And what you do right now, no. So you want a career that's going to take you somewhere, right? That can provide more for yourself, for your family. Probably a career that you're going to feel proud of yourself, right? Well, yeah, exactly. That's my point. So why you're not going through the topics that you're learning right now in order for you to get all the way over there? Why do you focus on that one exam like most people do? When you do that, you will make things that you're not supposed to, and you're going to do decisions, again, that you're not supposed to. You're not seeing the big picture. And right now, I'm really giving you gold, like really gold. And I really hope you take this to heart. If not, go and watch someone else. They will give you more BS, more information for you to be lost, for you to be like all over the place and not get you what you really want, a high-paying job in IT. Now, let's talk about the last one, because remember, right, that's a framework for the last one. Persuade. So I end up telling my story. I end up basically saying how I end up fixing the problem. So now at that point, I'm going to end that question. Finally, I'm going to end that question saying, and by the way, and let's say again that your name is David, right? So I'm going to say, and by the way, David, now that I remember on the job description, what I can say, of David, now that I remember too, the manager told me, well, I can say this too. That recruiter told me, David, that you're looking for someone that knows about, switching. And if you don't mind, I can tell you a story or two about how can I bring value to your team related and what you're needing and the switching, because I have a good story or two. Will you mind if I tell you that? They're going to say always, of course, go ahead, sell. Basically, in the back of their mind, like sell to me, or what what you have. And now basically everything that's coming out of my mouth, it's gold, because everything that I'm saying, it's exactly what they want, and that's exactly what they need. And you see, that's how you get the job. So, so that's what's up, guys. That's exactly what's up. Unfortunately, there are not that many people right now live joining there. We have about 38, 40 people. And I know right now, it's not like maybe, I know there's so many people right now going through the job interview process, doing it the wrong way. And many, like, they're desperate just to get a job in IT, just any job. They're desperate. They don't know how to do that. People reach out to me. I share some of the stories with my students. Like not too long ago, I have this guy named Earthward. Since November, he's been applying to jobs. And he has experience in IT, and he knows a lot based on that conversation that I had with him. And he told me, I ended up going all the way through some of the job interviews, all the way through, Jorge, to the last, like at the end, just waiting for the callback, the one that we want you, here's our offer, and I haven't got that one. And again, I took the time. He ended up getting the blueprint, something that I offered. We had a conversation, and we went through that and why he was not able to. And it came down to a lot of it, not all of it, but most of it, and how he was answering the questions. And I know right now, they're not like hundreds. I know they're thousands right now getting in IT, going through the job interview process, and they're doing it wrong. Basically, what they're doing, that's exactly what everyone else is doing, exactly what everyone else is doing. And I have witnessed that so many times. People go and they think, I just need to answer those questions. I need to put out a smile. I need to just look confident, right? And just be like the person, the best of me, I guess, on that position. But I need to make sure that I answer those questions. They ask you 3 to 5 questions, and you know that you answer them properly, like correctly, all of them. And you feel confident. I know I'm going to get this job, and you end up not getting it. Why? Because once again, you did exactly what everyone else did. You go through this process. You don't have to go through 3 jobs interviews, more than 3, because you're going to get an offer of a good job. And I really hope you take and to go through it. I never before. This what I just went through, I never thought it before. To no one, only the students inside my coaching program. That's it. Only the students inside my coaching program. I never share this with no one. And a lot of it and how they're so successful, that's because they end up mastering this. You master this, and again, you will never have any problem on getting the job that you want, the one that's gonna pay you well. Obviously, there are more things in between, right, that you have to do, prepare. But again, a lot of it, and you're going through the job interview process, is this: the framework. You have to connect, educate, storytell, and persuade. So someone asks you, can you tell me what's DHCP? Can you tell me the difference between a router and a switch? Can you tell me the difference between UDP, TCP? Can you tell me a few things that you like about OSPF, a few things that you don't like about EIGRP? Can you tell me what's MPLS? I mean, come on, guys. Like, you're more likely thinking right now, I will say this and I will say this and I will say that, and you wouldn't go through this framework. But now that you know better, I dare you to take time and do this. Like, okay, now I know better. Let me do this myself. What would I say if someone asked me this? What would I say? And listen to yourself. Monitor what you say. And you're going to notice that you're going to sound like everyone else. That I told you, you cannot follow this framework properly. Okay? And once again, that's exactly what gets you the job, guys. I work in customer service job right now, sending emails. Should I focus getting my foot in the door in the entry-level position? Or in, say, my CCNA? I'm aiming for a job that pay me 55, 65. That's for Michael. Michael, you come with me, I can get you 65 to 75K, man. And it's not going to be an entry-level job. I don't do entry-level jobs. I do not do entry-level jobs, Michael. You can reach out to my students. Some of them are here. They don't get entry-level jobs. The ones that are new, they don't get entry-level jobs. I do not allow them to do that because, again, there are new ways on how to get a good job in IT. And depending on where you live, you can go from 60 up to 75K. 60 up to 75K. First job in IT without experience, without knowing that word. I'm telling you. Okay. So again, guys, any questions? I have 5 minutes, guys. 5 minutes. Shoot. I want the best for all of you guys, like really. And I know I have some of the students here in the coaching program right now on the chat, and they all know that everything I do is how can I help you to get to the next level in your IT career and in your personal life, and always again, you have questions, you can ask right now. That's a link. If you really want to be serious, join this community because Dennis did it. Dennis has been with me for probably a month or 2. Well, here we go again. That's the framework, okay? And again, this is something that I teach in more detail inside the coaching, but I know based on the information that I give you, that can really help you a lot, like a lot. You can go back and go through that section and, okay, how would I answer that question myself? And remember, you have to connect. That's as soon as you open your mouth, you have to do that. Then I have to educate. Educate, it's not answering the question they ask you because, again, they are expecting for you to know that. So what you do, you have to say a lot more, but it's related, okay? It's related to what they ask you, okay? Obviously, number 3, a storytell. That's exactly the one. If you end up mastering throughout this process, for them to think of you that you are not like everyone else that knows information, but that you are the only one that can see that you can get the job done, because you already put them in that scenario of all the stories that you told, based on how you end up resolving issues, working on a project, and all of that, the stories that you will telling related to what they ask you. And persuade, influence, that means now I'm gonna basically sell myself based on what you want, based on what you need, because I did my homework and I know exactly who you're looking for, and I'm gonna have my stories ready for me to sell you that. That way, you know, this is exactly the person that we're looking for. And again, most people don't do that. None of it. People go sit down and answer questions. That's the only thing. No conversations, nothing else. And again, is there any resource I use to keeping up with how network engineering involves? I don't know that question exactly what that means, Francisco. I have 4 minutes, guys, because I have a call at 8:30. I feel good about this call. I probably do another one next week. I will probably do. And I also, how do I join the coaching program? Let's open up a month. I only take 2 people a month. There's a link, Francisco. Take a look at it. Please do not, and this is for everyone, do not, again, do not, okay, apply if you don't go through all the details. So I have someone else, Raymond. How to bypass a lot of requirements in the job? There is a way on how to do that. It's not like bypassing. You know, there is a way, and that's basically a process you go through and how you're gonna position yourself in front of that recruiters or the people that you're reaching out to or people that are reaching out to you. It's a process. Again, it's a process. I cannot obviously go through all of it in 30 minutes, but you know, I mean, it's just how it is. Okay. Other questions, guys? You know, I will do another one next Monday, 7:30. You know, I'm gonna probably I'm gonna start upgrading my game. I'm gonna see if I can stream. That way I can probably bring some of you and have, you know, that one-on-one chat and really help you out, because once again, I know there are many people out there, they're struggling. Okay, so I get my CCNA before the coaching. Michael, you get the CCNA with me. That's one thing, guys. For those of you listening, please, one thing that for you to take on as well. The way that you learn, okay? The way that you learn matters. The way that I teach is through storytelling, because that's how the mind processes information a lot better for you to communicate. I'm not like most people out there, the other trainers. They're really good. I learned a lot from many of them. For many of them, I learned a lot. But the problem is they learn very technically. Like, I mean, they teach very technical. You know, they don't have the storytelling part. And without the storytelling, that means now you have to take what you have learned from them and for you to convert that to a storytelling. And that's difficult, because that's exactly what I end up doing. But that's the reason why I decided to teach it myself, because I teach it through storytelling. So, Michael, to answer that question, you can get that to me. Okay? You can get that through me. I teach you the CCNA. Okay? And I prepare you on how to answer questions throughout the process. We do one-on-ones and all. So, Dennis, Brandon, thank you for joining. I didn't know you were joining, but thank you so much for joining, guys. So again, guys, I'm here to help you out. I have one more question. Anyone, one more question? For those of you that probably joined late, I'm going to ask you, like, really take the time to go back on this training and really, like, break this down, because this is exactly the answer. Like, really break this down, you know, on this framework. And the only way for you to get really good at it is for you to practice. As long as you know what this step means and how to go and how to transition from step 1 to number 2, 3, and 3 and 4. Okay? Because once again, everything that needs to come out of your mouth has to be based on a conversation. You know, because that's the only way that you can accomplish those 2 things. If you're able to accomplish, okay, if you are able to accomplish 2 things, okay, you get the job. One of them, they have to like you so much, they're going to trust you right there. Now, it doesn't take days or no, right there, you can build a trust if you know what to do. This. And they have to also think of you that you can get the job done. Now that you know, because they're going to think of everyone that, oh, they know, this person knows, yeah, that person knows too. And what about the other two? Yeah, they know too, but this other person not only knows, we can already see that person getting the job done. And how you accomplish that? Because you end up doing this. Okay. So how long is the training? Cesar asked. You're basically stuck. Can you do live with your students? Yes, I can probably do that. Yes. But you basically stuck, Cesar, with me until you get the job. And I know some of the students that are with me right now here in the chat, they can tell you that. You basically stuck with me until you get the job. That's my commitment. This is not like, oh, we're going to go on 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. No, you stuck with me until I help you to get that job. As long as you do everything I ask you to, because it matters what you do and how you do that. And I hope you're listening. Now, many people know what to do, but they don't know how to do it. And that's why they also get stuck. You know, I teach you here how things that you need to do, and that's it for you. Many things that may apply to you may not apply for everyone else. This is why it's a coaching program. That way we work on exactly what you need based on where you are and based on what you're trying to accomplish. And we only focus on the things that matter the most. That way I don't have you all over the place like many people are right now. You know, no, let's focus on what's going to allow you for you to get that job, depending obviously on where you are right now. And obviously you do everything I ask you to, you know, that you agree and you end up getting the job. Again, you stuck with me until you get the results that you're looking for. Okay. Okay, guys, that's all I have. Thanks everyone for joining. Here's the link once again. And I really share good info today. Like I know this is from heart to you guys, because this really will change, like will totally change how you go through that job interview process the next time if you do this. Okay. Hey, can I speak more than one language, but I can only speak networking in English. How can I take advantage of these skills that currently don't overlap? When are you making the live with your students? Raymond, I don't know. We'll see. I have many things going on. And obviously the time that I have, the only free time that I have, I always give it to the students to help them. So that's why I don't do that many lives on YouTube, because it takes time for me to do this, for me to set this up on my living room. Now, Derek, hey there, can I speak more than one language, but I can only speak networking in English? You know, I remember getting my first job in IT. It was very difficult because if my English is bad now, imagine 12, 13 years ago, it was really bad. Like really, really, really bad. For me, I think I got good at it. Like, okay, I guess like acceptable, probably like 5, 7 years ago. When I'm like, okay, now it's acceptable how the way that I talk, because I have a very thick accent. But imagine 12 years ago, it was really bad, so it didn't stop me at all. So I have to go, guys. I have a meeting. Thank you so much for joining, and I will talk to you soon.